Arcadian Vanguard presents The Wrestling News, and your daily wrestling newscast for Wednesday, September 14th, 2022. Good morning, I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin with news regarding AEW Executive Vice President Kenny Omega. Omega has not been seen in AEW since being suspended on September 7th by Tony Khan, and a couple of social media posts on Monday and Tuesday of this week now indicate that Omega has been spending time in Japan. The official Twitter account of video game company Sega revealed yesterday that Omega had paid a visit to its headquarters in Tokyo. That came one day after Omega was spotted at the headquarters of Japanese wrestling apparel company Haoming, according to the company's official Twitter. Omega, who is directly involved with the company's video game division AEW Games, had originally been scheduled to be in Japan to promote the AEW Fight Forever console game at the Tokyo Game Show convention being held September 15th through the 18th, and it has not yet been confirmed whether those appearances are still taking place. Omega was suspended along with fellow AEW Executive Vice Presidents Matt and Nick Jackson and others in the wake of the locker room brawl that took place during the press scrum after AEW All Out, in which he is alleged to have gotten into a physical altercation with CM Punk and trainer Ace Steel. Omega, in addition to Punk and the Young Bucks, were all being removed from marketing and advertising materials for upcoming AEW TV tapings and pay-per-views, according to a report from PW Insider yesterday. The removals are due to the ongoing third-party investigation regarding the all-out backstage brawl, during which all parties allegedly involved are being kept off TV. Omega, Punk, and the Bucks are not expected to appear at tonight's Dynamite from the MVP Arena in Albany, New York. It was reported yesterday by Fightful Select that the length of the suspensions are not known, even by those suspended. We will keep you updated on when the investigation concludes and what decisions come out of it. In ratings news, Monday Night Raw on the USA Network took an expected hit this week, going up against the season debut of Monday Night Football on ESPN. The show, broadcast live from the Moda Center in Portland, Oregon, pulled in an average of 1.71 million viewers, down 16.74% from last week, according to Showbuzz Daily. In the hourly breakdown, Hour 1 did 1.783 million viewers, jumping to 1.821 million for Hour 2, and falling to 1.525 million for Hour 3. In the 18 to 49 demographic, the show drew a .44 rating, or 574,000 viewers, which is down 24.13% from last week, according to WrestleNomics. Raw came in at number 7 for the night in the 18 to 49 demo on the cable Top 150, down from the number 2 position last week. In overall cable viewership, the show came in at number 12. This was the lowest overall rating for Raw since July 4th, and the lowest in the key demo since July 11th. Turning to NXT news, here's the wrestling news, Lou Kipilman.
NXT 2.0 broadcast its one-year anniversary show last night on USA Network. Commemorating 1 full year since the NXT brand was revamped as NXT 2.0. In the main event, Solo Sikoa defeated Carmelo Hayes to take the NXT North American title, scoring the pin in 10 minutes and 3 seconds after a Samoan splash.
Could this be the moment? Bojax! Flying Solo! Sikoa got all of it! We're back! We got a new champion! Here is your winner, the new NXT North American champion, Solo Sikoa! What the heck? This was not supposed to be how the night ended. Well, it is. Is the North American title going to SmackDown?
With Sikoa having been called up to SmackDown last week, it's unclear what this might mean for the future of the title. Also of note was the ending of the show, which featured a pre-recorded mission statement from Senior Vice President of Talent Creative Shawn Michaels, during which a new NXT logo was revealed, using the original black and gold colors and missing the 2.0. In other matches from the evening, Pretty Deadly successfully defended the NXT tag titles against the Creed brothers in a steel cage match. Joe Gacy and Cameron Grimes beat Tony D'Angelo and Channing Stacks Lorenzo, and Nikita Lyons and Zoe Stark defeated Ariana Grace and Kiana James. For the Wrestling News, I'm Lou Kipilman.
WWE Chief Content Officer Paul Levesque has plans to elevate the United States Championship, making it the most important title on the Raw brand, according to a report from Fightful Select. The decision was characterized as being partly related to the undisputed WWE Universal title, a unified version of both WWE's world titles currently held by Roman Reigns, being relegated almost exclusively to SmackDown as of late. This week's episode of Raw featured a backstage segment in which Seth Rollins issued a challenge to U.S. Champion Bobby Lashley for a match on next week's Raw. During the scripted promo segment, it was mentioned by Rollins that the championship match next week would determine who the face of Raw really is. The week before on Raw, Lashley defended the U.S. title against The Miz in a steel cage during the main event of the show, which was also mentioned in the report as part of the creative effort to amplify the importance of the title. In New Japan Pro Wrestling news, New Japan announced last night that the company will be coming to the Palladium in Times Square on back-to-back nights in late October. The company had already announced Rumble on 44th Street to take place on Friday, October 28th, but now stated that due to the demand for tickets, the company has added the night before Rumble on 44th Street, a Halloween special, to take place on Thursday, October 27th. Tickets go on sale Friday for the October 27th show. No matches have been announced as of yet. Tenryu Project, the promotion founded by Genichiro Tenryu, announced yesterday that all in-person appearances by the legendary wrestler at upcoming shows through November were being canceled. The 72-year-old Tenryu was hospitalized on September 2nd with spinal stenosis and was set to undergo surgery to try to help alleviate the issue. In a statement on its website, the promotion apologized for Tenryu's absences and noted that Tenryu himself is working on treatment every day. Tenryu's next appearance is scheduled to be a virtual sit-down interview with longtime All Japan rival Stan Hansen on September 25th, which still may go on as scheduled depending on Tenryu's condition. Debuting in 1976, Tenryu has held the All Japan Triple Crown on 3 occasions and New Japan's IWGP Heavyweight title once during his storied career. And finally, some WWE Hall of Famers making the news. Bret Hart was honored yesterday with a plaque from Canada's Walk of Fame in a ceremony held in his hometown of Calgary at the Victoria Pavilion, site of numerous events put on by his family's Stampede Wrestling promotion from the 1950s through the 1980s. Hart spoke to Canada's City News live at the ceremony.
I feel like I'm lucky that I got to live the life that I got to live, and that, if you told me when I was a young man that I was going to someday be a wrestling superstar and I would travel all around the world and wrestle in front of huge audiences and just be the performer that I was, I would have had a hard time believing all that.
As part of the honor, Hart received a $10,000 prize to be split between the Alberta Siksika Nation's youth program and Water First, a charity that helps provide clean water to Indigenous Canadian communities. In addition to his accomplishments as a pro wrestler, the WWE Hall of Famer and 7-time world champion was recognized at the ceremony for his philanthropic and charitable works. Hart was originally awarded a spot on the Walk of Fame in 2021, but it wasn't until yesterday that a special hometown ceremony was held for him. A replica of Hart's Walk of Fame star will be on display in Calgary at the Victoria Pavilion. The physical location of Canada's Walk of Fame is in Toronto, where it covers a 13-block area of sidewalks along Simcoe Street. The Western Pennsylvania Sports Museum in Pittsburgh will be screening the 2022 documentary film Bruno San Martino on October 6th in honor of what would have been the 87th birthday of the long-reigning WWF World Champion, according to a recent press release. The documentary, originally released on streaming platforms and on disc last May, is being billed as an authorized account of San Martino's life, covering his early years in Nazi-occupied Europe through his Hall of Fame wrestling career during the 60s, 70s, and 80s. San Martino was particularly loved in Pittsburgh, where he lived most of his life after coming to America as a child. As we close with you today, we'd like to remind you that the Wrestling News is on Twitter. Follow @WrestlingNewsAV for Arcadian Vanguard's daily wrestling newscast, breaking news, and more. Once again, follow @WrestlingNewsAV for the wrestling news. For those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, make the wrestling news a part of your daily routine. Just say, "Alexa, play the Wrestling News podcast." Make sure you add podcast at the end, as Alexa can be very particular. And finally, the Wrestling News is also now on Facebook. Visit facebook.com/WrestlingNewsAV to follow the Wrestling News. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.